way that her people out there, in my opinion, conspiracy theory or whatever, we're all just trying to make, lemonade out of lemons. Oh yeah, she lost this gig, but what can we put out there to distract and make her still seem valuable? Oh, well, she's with Dior. So this was all over the place.
Hey everybody, I'm Beebs Kelly. Welcome back to another video. Today, we are going to be discussing the entire Dior drama situation as it pertains to the Sussexes. Understand that fully. Meg seems to be attempting a modern minimalist aesthetic that combines a classic chic with a casual elegance because she does attempt, just not very successfully.
Meghan tried to use Dior for her own story. Instead, Dior taught her a lesson.
They say contract talks with Meghan Markle aren't happening. Numerous publications, Daily Mail, TMZ, New York Post, all reported a deal could be imminent. Fake news! Fake news!
Paris looked beautiful that morning. The Dior building looked like a dream. The marble floors and shiny glass showed how fancy it was. Inside, stylists worked perfectly together. Models went from one fitting to another. Only the most important people were invited. You either belonged there or you didn't.
Of mixing the sort of high-low is the attempt that she's going for, but she doesn't bring in enough of that look. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, tends to be really successful at high-low dressing, which I can't say that phrase without thinking of Ina Garten, who talks about high-low cuisine.
The air in Dior's lobby felt heavy, like a storm was coming. Meghan's smile disappeared. What started as a confident entrance now looked like a fight between rudeness and class. She stood there with tension in her eyes, like she was used to getting her way, not being told no.
Meghan Markle fatigue is very, very real. And I've said, unless it's directly something to do with the royal family or Harry, because as much as people dislike...
The staff stayed calm. They'd seen everything before, movie stars, billionaires, politicians. But this was different. There was no record of her visit, no appointment, no permission. Just a name that was more famous for drama than success. And at Dior, that matters.
Charlize Theron or Anna Taylor-Joy, no. Or Johnny Depp, official brand ambassadors for Dior, no. She is not about to do it, despite a flirt.
Behind the counters, assistants started typing quickly, checking schedules that didn't exist. Messages went between departments as confusion spread. Within minutes, everyone knew. Meghan Markle had shown up without an invitation, claiming she had a private fitting.
And Meghan, well, I don't think anybody really sees Meghan as a royal or a member of the royal family anymore, despite her flashing her title.
When Dior's head of communications finally came down, the tension was thick. Every movement was careful. Every smile was perfectly controlled. She didn't need to raise her voice. Her presence alone showed power.
Duchess was about to sign a deal with the French fashion house on Tuesday. Today, a spokesman for Dior in Paris told
Meghan's posture got stiff. Her team looked nervous, unsure what to do next. This wasn't the grand entrance they'd imagined. It was a public reminder that being famous means nothing when power isn't earned. In the world of luxury fashion, grace and reputation opened doors. Meghan tried to force her door open, and Dior quietly showed her that not all doors open with pressure.
So there you go. This was confirmed by numerous outlets reporting on numerous sources. Suddenly, Page 6 came around. No, she's not signing a mega bucks with Dior. Even Daily Mail, who previously reported, came back around.
The footage later told the story better than words could. Meghan stood there with her arms folded tight, her face like stone. The staff around her moved carefully, like people who knew they were in the middle of something explosive.
One of them is just in really, really poor taste and shows that she's got no scruples, which I'm sure most of you are aware already. But the other thing...
The communication director stayed calm, explaining that the house had no record of a fitting, no approval, no invitation. Meghan didn't move. Her silence was colder than her stare.
All of this came back, and yeah, it wasn't happening. So basically, Dior is out there, probably...
In Dior's world, a scene like this is rare. The brand doesn't argue, it decides. They don't bend to pressure, and they definitely don't beg celebrities who come uninvited. Dior's legacy is built on women who became icons, not those who demanded to be treated as one. Grace Kelly, Princess Diana, Jennifer Lawrence, they never had to announce their worth. It just showed. The whole thing lasted less than 10 minutes, but it was enough. Meghan's name was quietly put into Dior's system with a single note. No future work, no collaboration, no event access. Just a silent lock on every possible door.
I was like, wait a second. No. You don't get to use us for PR like this. So bravo, Dior. I'm glad I get to keep my sauvage and support you guys, because I would have been annoyed had this happened.
The staff didn't gossip. They didn't roll their eyes. They simply carried on. Because in Dior's world, dignity is the deadliest response. What no one in that lobby knew was that Meghan hadn't stumbled into this. It was all part of a bigger plan she'd been building for months.
High street earrings or a bag or a blazer or even trousers with some more elevated pieces and maybe a more elevated dress, for example. And she does it seamlessly.
What looked like an awkward mistake was actually the end of a year-long chase. Behind the scenes, Meghan's team had been chasing Dior for months, sending proposal after proposal, trying to get a brand partnership that could seal her status among fashion's elite. It wasn't about clothes. It was about legitimacy. Dior was the crown jewel she wanted for her comeback.
Correct the story, and I will give them what it's due, because this would be a win. If Meghan Markle's able to get Dior to sign them on, it would be a win. I think it's going to anger a lot of Dior customers. It will, but it would be.
Her team's pitch was about modern royalty. They painted her as the new face of grace, power, and strength. It sounded poetic, but to Dior's board, it reeked of calculation. 6 follow-up emails came, each more desperate than the last. The final message compared Meghan's influence to Princess Diana's, and that's when the door truly closed. Inside Dior, Diana isn't a marketing tool. She's fashion mythology. To even mention her name in a pitch was a mistake too bold to overlook. Executives quietly decided that Meghan's image brought risk, not value. The drama, the headlines, the noise, it wasn't Dior's language.
Just like it was for Johnny. But anyway, it doesn't sound like this is happening. Now sources are coming out from Dior, spokesmen for Dior.
I think it's a little bit twisted and dark, and definitely a way to trigger her husband. So as for Meghan appearing at Paris...
And this is where the story went from awkward to truly bizarre. Meghan hadn't come alone. Her team, 2 assistants, a stylist, and a man carrying a full camera, followed closely behind. It wasn't subtle. The setup screamed production, not privacy. To Dior's staff, it looked less like a fitting and more like a scene.
With Emily Chang, she had mentioned about what direction she's going to take her brand into, and she said that she's known for beauty and fashion.
Staff whispered as they passed. Some claimed this wasn't her first attempt to drop by. The pattern was becoming clear. Show up, record a few moments, create a story of access.
It's the most expensive clothes. These clothes, some of her outfits are actually more than what people paid for their entire home, right? And she still looks a total hot mess. So she's on what I would say 95% terrible.
Her arrival, her tension, even her exit, it all looked designed for the camera. The only thing that went wrong was Dior's refusal to play along. Inside that building, the message spread fast. Phones buzzed. Glances were exchanged. In one morning, the line between celebrity confidence and uninvited chaos had never looked thinner. She thought she was walking into a fitting. Dior saw a performance and refused to be part of it.
Stuff around Paris, very, very reminiscent of Lady Beckham's straight pan face that she's always done. But that's her. She's always been that way. It's not an act. She's never...
In the luxury world, authenticity is sacred. You don't script humility. You don't fake exclusivity. Once the fashion houses learned the scene had been staged, admiration turned to disgust. Dior, a house that built its reputation on precision, purity, and artistry, realized it had been used as a prop in someone else's storyline.
She's arrived. She's appeared. We've had an announcement. Now, obviously, the paparazzi were told exactly which hotel she was staying at, so they could be there with the cameras. So Meghan...
It started with an internal email confirming what the staff already knew. Meghan had shown up unannounced, cameras rolling, demanding entry. The email went from one inbox to another until it slipped out to the public. Within hours, the fashion world had the proof.
She stayed at the same hotel that Princess Diana did. It's believable that she would do that, but it's my understanding that she is actually staying at the Hotel Plaza Athena because...
Dior never commented, never denied, never clarified. They simply let the footage circulate. Their silence wasn't weakness. It was dominance. In luxury culture, words cheapen power. Actions, or in this case, restraint, define it. And that restraint became the most devastating statement of all.
Of that hotel. But it wouldn't surprise or shock any of us that Meghan would stay somewhere like that and pose as she came out or wear another Diana-inspired outfit. But the outfit that...
Luxury, brands watching from a distance took note. Dior's decision had set the tone. If the most powerful fashion house in the world wouldn't touch her, why would anyone else? Suddenly, collaborations that had been in discussion disappeared. PR firms withdrew interest. Stylists started declining to lend clothes. Even friendly media outlets that once jumped to her defense avoided the story altogether.
More than what the majority of us earn in an entire year. But again,
The brilliance of Dior's response was that there was no response at all. No defensive statements, no PR tricks, no subtle digs. They simply carried on, unaffected and unbothered, as though nothing had happened. That's the real art of luxury, knowing that silence cuts deeper than any headline.
said, I think using Vaseline as a face moisturizer. Anybody that had to kiss her that evening probably had a slick grease mark going up the side of their face. But Meghan here, as she swaggers out, have you ever...
Insiders in Paris described it as a masterclass in control. Dior didn't just ignore the scandal. They absorbed it and turned it into proof of their untouchable status. By refusing to engage, they reinforced their dominance. The message was unmistakable. Dior doesn't chase clout. It defines it. Every luxury house took notes. The episode became a quiet warning across the industry. Protect your name, protect your legacy, and never allow yourself to be pulled into performative drama.
Dressed in white, making a total spectacle of herself.
Dior's refusal to engage wasn't just silence. It was instruction. It reminded the entire fashion industry what prestige really means. True power doesn't need to explain itself. It doesn't perform for validation. It simply exists, untouched and
Real A-list stars, real money, real power. And Meghan walks in like Darth Vader. And somebody, I wish I could play it, but it's copyrighted music. But
Meghan had entered Dior's headquarters, hoping for a story of transformation. Instead, she walked straight into her own narrative collapse. The brand didn't humiliate her publicly. They simply refused to acknowledge her at all. And that, in the high-gloss world of fashion, is far worse than rejection. In the end, the loudest sound in this entire saga wasn't Meghan's defense. It was Dior's silence.